What's up, guys? Emily here with Emlovz, going on my Bumble BFF date 20 in 90. So I've been going through this process and I'm learning that it's actually better to just try to do 20 friend experiences in 90 days. They don't all need to come from one source. In fact, it's really helpful, just like in dating. If you don't want, if you're doing 20 dates in 90 days, if you're mega dating, you don't really want all 20 of your dates to come just from a dating app, because you want to be able to compare and contrast the differences of where you meet people and how you connect to see what is most relevant for you, right? Maybe it's more effective if you're meeting people in person. Maybe it's more effective for you to meet on an app. You really want to figure out what is best for you. And I've decided to, in this experiment, to count all friend experiences, up to 3 experiences with the same person, towards my 20 date goal. So they're not going to only come from Bumble BFF, but they're going to come from other places, because what I've seen is there are other relationships that I would like to explore, whether that's reconnecting with a long lost friend or even just helping out a friend. Okay. So if you're doing a similar experiment specifically around increasing your social circle, which is so important in dating, you might find that sometimes you've deprioritized platonic relationships, or even maybe you've deprioritized romantic relationships. And when you put that as a priority in your life, you start to really see how many opportunities you maybe have organically that you're not leveraging. Like, for instance, if you have friends that have said that they're going to set you up, but then they never did, being proactive and really trying to get that 20 dates in 90 days is going to make you think differently about it, so that you're like, okay, I need to go out and I need to make these things happen. It's going to force you to be more proactive, and you're not going to be thinking about it like, oh, there must be something wrong with me because my friend didn't set me up, or they didn't do what they said that they were going to do, or that person on Bumble, those different conversations that I was in, they just fizzled out. When you set your mind to mega dating and getting 20 dates in 90 days, which requires you to go on 1 to 2 dates each week, you start to think about, how can I make 1 to 2 dates happen this week, as opposed to, why didn't they message me back? And let me just sit back until someone comes around and invites me to do something. You got to get out of that mindset. That is, like, so many people are reactive. If you're doing mega dating, whether it's romantically or platonically, you have to be the proactive one. And that's the proactive people. They go out and they get what they want. That's what winners do. Okay. So if you're doing this experiment with me, or you're doing a romantic experiment or whatever, even if you're just increasing your social circle, I want you to count any connection that is made up to 3 times with the same person. You can obviously keep hanging out or keep dating a person beyond 3 dates, but you just want to make sure that you don't do all 20 dates with the same person. So you want to give yourself enough time to really explore different connections. Okay, so I'm off my soapbox. One reason I realized that this was important was because there's a lot of times in my life where a friend will invite me to do something, and because I haven't prioritized friendships, I say no for whatever reason, because it actually takes quite a bit of time to maintain friendships and maintain relationships. And it takes time to find the right partner. All of this requires your time and energy. And in the past, where I have said no, I'm now thinking differently about it, because I had that 20 date goal. So when a friend reached out to me yesterday and said, can you help me with this, like, they're getting certified for yoga and they need practice time with real people, the old me would have said no to that. And that's why I want to count that towards my 20 friend dates, my 20 platonic dates, because the old me was really closed off to opportunities. And I'm starting to see that that's part of the reason why I was getting lonely, especially post-pandemic, is because when someone would ask me to hang out, a lot of times I would make excuses because maybe it wasn't convenient for me, or, I just wasn't trying very hard to fit other people into my life. And if you're doing the same, and I think it's normal human nature to do that, that could be a part of the reason why you're feeling lonely. So I'll comment on this experience. I did integral hatha yoga for the first time today. I've done yoga before, but I allowed myself to say yes to the experience, as opposed to finding reasons why I couldn't. And so part of what I'm learning is say yes. It's better to say yes than to say no. And if you can't do it at the day and time that someone proposes, suggest an alternative. Try and say yes. Try and make it work. See if you can make it work. the experience was interesting. I felt good about helping someone out. I also felt good because I noticed the old me would probably not mark that on my calendar and probably not prioritize that, even though I'd committed to it, which is pretty selfish, actually. So if you find yourself saying yes to either dates or platonic relationships and then not putting it on your calendar or not putting it somewhere where you can see it and really commit to it 100%, then you're harming the relationship because you made a commitment to somebody, you made a promise to somebody, and you failed to deliver on that promise. You failed to show up. You didn't show up on time. You disappointed somebody. And so a lot of the times we feel lonely because we are afraid to be proactive. We're afraid to reach out because we're afraid of that rejection, and we're doing the very same thing to other people. So mega dating really forces you to look at yourself and realize, oh, I actually have probably been a bad friend. I don't make myself available to people if they are going to be, they want to meet up and it doesn't fit perfectly into my schedule, then I'm just going to make an excuse why I can't do it. And when you set that goal of 20 meetups or 20 dates or 20 platonic meetups, it really gets you thinking about how can I achieve this goal and how can I open myself up to others? And it shows you how many opportunities you actually have that you're letting slip away and how harmful that can be to any kind of relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic. So what I learned from this experience, I learned a lot of things. One, if you commit to something, put it on your calendar and make it a top priority. Number two, manage expectations around time. So I didn't know how long we were going to commit to the experience, and I actually did have to work. And so it ended up going a lot longer than I expected. And that was probably my fault. I should have said, hey, I have until 8 o'clock, right? I have until this time. Does that work for you? So manage expectations around time, especially if you're following the date blueprints that I lay out, which says that a first date should be an hour or less. Really manage that time and say, hey, I would love to meet up with you, but I've got something at this time. Is that okay? Is that cool? I just want to give you a heads up. So manage expectations around time. Always be respectful of the other person's time. You don't want to just assume that they're available indefinitely, right? You want to check in, especially if it gets to be that 1 hour mark. Just want to check in with you. I'm going to have to run in a minute. You just want to manage expectations around time and be really cognizant of other people's time, especially in platonic relationships. It's like having respect for someone's time, being there when you say you're going to be there, not being late, putting it on your calendar, not just thinking, oh, I guess I'll think about that. That I'm really guilty of that. I think in the past, if somebody wanted to do something, I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, let's hang out. And then I really wouldn't be proactive and I wouldn't put it on my calendar and I wouldn't take it seriously. And I'm even thinking back to, I was recently invited to something and I just didn't make any effort to go. And had I been thinking about things differently, I think I would have showed up as a more conscientious friend. And the same can be true in dating. It's like really showing up and prioritizing those commitments that you've made. And if you can't prioritize it and you can't stick to your promises, you got to look at why. Are you too busy for this? Is this not going to be a priority in your life right now? Are you serious about finding the right partner or finding people that you can share your life with? Because it's kind of like a serious thing, right? You don't want to be a bad friend or a bad romantic partner, or you're going to only attract people who suck, So something to keep in mind. That's what I'm learning.